What if a single scale could rewrite everything you thought you knew about reality? A journalist stumbles upon a bizarre clue, unlocking a prophecy centuries in the making. A monstrous serpent is lurking in the shadows. A hidden power is waiting to be claimed. And one woman holds the fate of the world in her hands, whether she wants to or not. But here's the real question. Will destiny be fulfilled? Or will history repeat itself in the worst way possible? Stay tuned. This movie is wilder than you think. In present-day Los Angeles, a group of detectives stumbles upon a perplexing sight, a massive, eerie trail appearing overnight, seemingly left behind by an enormous creature. Investigative journalist Ethan arrives on the scene, eager to report the phenomenon, but encounters a wall of silence from authorities. However, amidst the chaos, he catches sight of a peculiar object in the field, a massive, shimmering scale. Capturing a quick photo, he hurries back to his office, convinced he's seen something like this before. A glance at the medallion he always wears sparks a flood of memories from 15 years ago. As a young boy, Ethan accompanied his father to an antique shop. While his father negotiated the sale of an ancient blade with the store owner, Jack, Ethan's curiosity led him to an enigmatic box. The moment he approached, the box mysteriously unlocked itself, revealing a radiant, oversized scale. Sensing the shift in energy, Jack faked a heart attack, creating a diversion. While Ethan's father rushed for help, Jack seized the moment to recount an ancient tale. According to legend, every 5 centuries, one among a lineage of colossal serpents, known as emojis, ascends into the celestial realm as a dragon, a divine reward for its virtuous deeds. The transformation requires a sacred artifact called the Yayo, a relic that the malevolent serpent Barak has long sought to claim. To safeguard it, the heavenly rulers concealed the artifact in Korea, where it became entwined with the fate of a noble-born girl, Naren. Born with a dragon-shaped birthmark, Naren unknowingly carried the forming essence of the Yayo within her. However, Barak, aware of her destiny, bided its time, intending to seize the artifact on her 20th birthday when it would fully materialize. To counter this looming threat, the heavens appointed 2 warriors, Hiram and his mentor, Bakhun, as guardians of the Yayo. Armed with wisdom and an enchanted medallion for protection, Hiram frequently visited the benevolent emoji dwelling within its cavernous sanctuary. His mission was clear. When the time came, he must ensure that the Yayo reached the rightful dragon, not Barak. However, fate took an unexpected turn. Hiram and Naren grew close, their bond blossoming into forbidden love. As the fateful day neared, Barak unleashed the Atrix army upon Naren's village, an unstoppable force wielding fearsome beasts and mystical powers. In a desperate attempt to identify Naren, the soldiers scrutinized every woman's shoulder, ultimately forcing a villager to betray her in exchange for mercy. At her home, the invaders took a more brutal approach, unaliving her father to lure her out. Upon discovering her mark, they wasted no time in abducting her. Determined to intervene, Hiram and Bakhun stormed the enemy ranks, freeing Naren from captivity. While Bakhun battled the advancing forces, Hiram rushed Naren to the emoji's sanctuary. Overwhelmed by her suffering, Hiram made a devastating choice. He renounced his sworn duty. Discarding his medallion for Bakhun to recover, he fled with Naren rather than sacrifice her. But their escape was short-lived. Barak tracked them down, forcing them to the edge of a perilous cliff. Faced with the inevitable, the lovers chose to perish together rather than be pawns in the sinister serpent scheme. Finishing his tale, Jack handed Ethan the medallion, revealing an astonishing truth. Ethan was Hiram reborn, and Jack himself was the reincarnation of Bakhun. This was their second chance to complete their divine task. Ethan's new mission: to find a woman named Sarah, the present-day incarnation of Naren, who bore the same fateful birthmark. Snapping back to reality, Ethan enlists the help of his tech-savvy friend, Bruce, to track Sarah down. However, with countless women named Sarah sporting tattoos, the search proves daunting. Meanwhile, The FBI receives alarming lab results confirming the presence of a massive, unknown entity roaming the city. Across town, Sarah watches the news alongside her best friend, Brandy. The sight of the mysterious scale on TV sends a chilling sensation down her spine. Overcome with unease, she rushes home and retrieves an old book of talismans, hurriedly placing protective charms around her home. Brandy arrives soon after, skeptical of Sarah's fears, but eventually persuades her to step out for a night of distraction. At a bustling bar, Sarah attempts to shake her anxiety, but remains on edge. Unable to ignore her instincts, she decides to leave. On the way home, she encounters a group of men intent on harassing her until an unkempt, enigmatic stranger emerges from the shadows, effortlessly subduing her attackers before vanishing into the night. Elsewhere, at the local zoo, caretaker Belafonte is drawn to strange noises. Following the eerie sounds, he stumbles upon a horrifying sight, an elephant slain by the monstrous Barak. Stricken with terror, he flees, but by the time an Atrix general arrives to investigate, the creature has already vanished, leaving no trace. The next day, Sarah recounts her unsettling encounter to the police, only to be met with disbelief. However, her story catches the interest of a journalist, who snaps her picture. Meanwhile, Ethan scours Jack's antique store, finding it abandoned. His search is abruptly interrupted by the Atrix general, who cryptically questions why Ethan isn't hunting for the Yaio. Before Ethan can process the confrontation, he suddenly awakens at his office, as though the encounter had been nothing but a dream. A coworker enters with breaking news from the police station, and as Ethan glances at the journalist's snapshot, an unshakable certainty grips him. This Sarah is the one. Determined, Ethan stays late at the office, scouring records for her address. Meanwhile, Belafonte pleads with the authorities about the monstrous serpent, but his warnings are dismissed. Back at the police station, Sarah heads to her car, only to recoil in horror as shimmering scales materialize on its surface beneath her touch. Panicked, she stumbles backward, colliding with a seemingly ordinary officer. Without warning, he unsheathes an enchanted blade and lunges at her. Startled, Sarah awakens abruptly in her bed, her body racked with unbearable pain. Fearing something is terribly wrong, she dials 911 and is rushed to the hospital. Moments later, Brandy arrives, desperate to see her friend, but the hospital staff refuses her entry. Only family members are allowed. Brandy and her boyfriend decide to visit Sarah's home to grab some essentials before heading to the hospital. As they step inside, an unsettling tremor shakes the house. Rushing outside, they are met with a terrifying sight. Baraki, the monstrous serpent, towering over them, its guttural roar echoing through the air. Panicked, they turn to flee, only to be blocked by the Atrix general. Seizing the moment, Baraki lunges and bites Brandy, but upon realizing she isn't Sarah, it callously tosses her body into the backyard pool before disappearing into the night. The next morning, Sarah attempts to leave her hospital room, only to find the door locked and a security officer stationed outside. When she demands answers, panic sets in, leading hospital staff to restrain her in an attempt to calm her down. Meanwhile, Ethan finally uncovers Sarah's profile but is interrupted by a phone call summoning him to report on a homicide. When he hears the address, his heart sinks. It's Sarah's home. Racing to the scene, relief washes over him upon realizing the victim isn't Sarah. However, an eavesdropping neighbor whispers about seeing a massive serpent and mentions that the house's owner had been taken to the hospital. Ethan wastes no time and heads there next. At the hospital, Ethan inquires about Sarah, only to be met with a suspicious explanation. The staff claims she has been quarantined due to a potentially contagious mark on her shoulder. Meanwhile, Belafonte, desperate to prove what he witnessed, seeks out a psychiatrist. The doctor dismisses him as delusional, but before Belafonte can argue, Baraki briefly appears at the window. However, the serpent vanishes before the psychiatrist can witness it, leading Belafonte to be committed to a psychiatric ward. Back with Ethan, he debates his next move when he bumps into a doctor who recognizes him from his reports. A fan of Ethan's work, The doctor agrees to sneak him into Sarah's room. Inside, he finds her trembling, fearful that no one believes her warnings of an impending catastrophe. Ethan reassures her that the danger is real and already unfolding. Before they can discuss further, Baraki launches an assault on the hospital. The doctor, revealing himself to be Jack under the guise of an illusion, helps them escape through a back exit. As soon as they're safely outside, Jack vanishes, implying that he had also been the mysterious hobo from before. Bruce is already waiting in his car, and they speed off as Baraki gives chase. The monstrous serpent attempts to overtake them, but Bruce manages to maintain the lead. A few miles down the road, Bruce suddenly collides with a figure. Ethan instantly recognizes the Atrix general from his vision. The general moves to capture Sarah, prompting Bruce to pull out a firearm while Ethan grabs a wooden plank. However, their attacks prove ineffective. In a desperate move, Bruce snatches the general's sword, but the weapon magically seals itself, refusing to be wielded by an unworthy hand. The general retaliates with a surge of energy, incapacitating Bruce momentarily. Before he can seize Sarah, a passing vehicle rams into him, buying Ethan enough time to drag Sarah into the car and order the driver to flee. As they disappear into the night, the driver is revealed to be Jack, once again manipulating events from the shadows. Realizing he needs reinforcements, Baraki summons the remainder of his Atrix army. Meanwhile, an emergency FBI meeting convenes. While some officials remain skeptical, mounting evidence suggests the existence of a mythical entity linked to Sarah. A decision is made. Sarah must be captured at all costs and, if necessary, eliminated. Simultaneously, a specialized military unit is dispatched to locate the Serpent's lair. However, their weapons prove futile against Baraki's impenetrable hide, and the general's magic swiftly annihilates them. Elsewhere, Ethan and Sarah are dropped off near the coastline, where the driver urges them to leave town. After she departs, once again revealing herself as Jack in disguise, Ethan and Sarah take a walk along the beach, reflecting on their shared visions. Ethan struggles with the weight of destiny, knowing Sarah may need to give herself for the Yaio. A moment of vulnerability leads to a heartfelt kiss before they seek out a psychology professor specializing in memory retrieval. Under hypnosis, Sarah relives the painful memory of her father's death before her mind drifts further into the past, witnessing Naren and Haram's tragic tale unfold. Suddenly, Sarah's body glows, her form lifting into the air, an undeniable sign that the Yaio has fully manifested within her. This surge of energy alerts Baraki, who immediately descends upon the professor's home, obliterating everything in its path. Ethan and Sarah narrowly escape in a car, with Ethan calling Bruce for assistance. Meeting at a cafe, Bruce informs them he has secured a helicopter. He also hands Ethan a firearm, despite Ethan's strong aversion to weapons. Before they can enact their plan, Jack appears one final time, urging Ethan to accept Sarah's fate and take her to the sacred Imagic cave. Ethan refuses, determined to find another way. Moments later, Baraki launches a fresh assault. As the trio flees in Bruce's car, the Serpent hurls another vehicle at them, causing a catastrophic crash. As they scramble to their feet, police officers open fire on Baraki, momentarily distracting it and allowing Ethan and Sarah to escape. The chase spills into the city, leaving destruction in its wake. Ethan and Sarah race toward the Liberty Building, where their helicopter awaits. Just as it lifts off, Baraki latches onto it with its massive jaws. Ethan instinctively grabs Sarah and leaps back onto the rooftop before the Serpent drags the chopper to the ground. Darkness envelopes the city as Baraki prepares to devour Sarah. Military helicopters swoop in, bombarding the beast with relentless fire. Though Baraki retaliates fiercely, downing many aircraft, the assault begins to wear it down. At that moment, the Atrix general arrives with his monstrous horde, obliterating everything in their path: tanks, helicopters, and buildings alike. Ethan and Sarah attempt to flee but are intercepted by 2 FBI agents who take them into protective custody. Once in a secure hideout, the agents reveal their knowledge of the prophecy. One of them, conflicted over their orders, hesitates before attempting to execute Sarah. Ethan shields her, taking a bullet to the arm. Before the agent can fire again, his partner intervenes, refusing to be part of an unjust unaliving. He hands them a set of car keys, urging them to do what must be done. On the road, the general's beasts ambush them, launching fireballs. One strike sends their vehicles spiraling out of control, rendering them unconscious. When Ethan awakens, he finds himself bound in Baraki's lair, while Sarah is prepared for sacrifice. As the serpent looms over her, Ethan's desperation triggers the pendant's latent power. A divine light erupts, incapacitating Baraki and obliterating the Atrix army, leaving only the general standing. Ethan breaks free and charges towards Sarah, but the general swiftly overpowers him. In a final clash, the general's sword accidentally strikes the pendant, unleashing an overwhelming burst of energy that incinerates him. With its forces decimated, Baraki recovers and lunges at Sarah. At that precise moment, the benevolent emoji dragon finally arrives. The two colossal creatures engage in a titanic battle. Though Ethan seizes the opportunity to escape with Sarah, she hesitates, realizing that the emoji is losing. Accepting her destiny, she channels the Yaio's power and bestows it upon the dragon. Instantly revitalized, the emoji undergoes a majestic transformation into a celestial dragon. Empowered by divine energy, it vanquishes Baraki with a devastating firestorm. With the battle over, the celestial dragon approaches Ethan, who cradles Sarah's unconscious form. In a solemn gesture, the dragon releases the Yaio, momentarily restoring Sarah's essence. She appears before Ethan one last time, whispering her love and promising they will meet again. Then, her spirit merges with the divine relic, ascending with the dragon into the heavens. As Ethan watches the dragon disappear, Jack's spectral form materializes beside him, offering a final nod of approval before vanishing into the ether. Ethan stands alone, heart heavy with loss, but knowing that, for the first time in centuries, the cycle has been completed. And just like that, the prophecy was fulfilled. The celestial dragon ascended, the monstrous serpent was vanquished, and the cycle finally came to an end, but at what cost? Was Sarah's fate inevitable, or could destiny have been rewritten? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you love legendary stories with jaw-dropping twists, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We've got more epic movie recaps coming your way.